So lonely. If you leave me, let me down slowly. Let me down.
What movie caused you to have a WTF did I just watch? Moment after viewing. Abducted in plain sight.
Yes. 20 minutes and I was thinking they already got to the meat of it, but boy was I wrong.
How the dad just jerks off his friend. Those parents were absolutely horrible.
They were dumb F. Did you catch that they were all Mormons? I suppose that's why they were so trust him. He was also in the church. I can't fathom how they let him get so close to their child though, really. It was all so gross.
Swiss Army Man.
Quote. Hank, because I'm just a scared, ugly, useless person. Manny, but maybe everyone's a little bit ugly. Maybe we're all just dying sacks of beef, and maybe all it'll take is one person to just be okay with that, and then the whole world will be dancing and singing and farting, and everyone will feel a little bit less alone. Hank, Manny, you have no idea how nice that sounds. The WTF part is that the movie makes this sound beautiful.
I think Swiss Army Man was great, but it falls into the what the beep category in a good way, Imo.
Well, I think what the beep are the actual last words spoken in the film. So yeah, laugh out loud.
Fun random fact, Mary Elizabeth Winstead says that in 10 Cloverfield Lane in Swiss Army Man as her final lines. I think it's the penultimate piece of dialogue in 10 CL2. Without googling, I think they also came out relatively close to each other too.
Prisoners starring Hugh Jackman and Jake Gyllenhaal. That movie was such a slow burner thriller, and once it ended, it was like WTF, but in a positive sense.
This movie personifies the suspense category for me.
Paul Dano is a national treasure.
Rubber.
For those who don't know, it's about a tire that uses telekinesis to blow up people's heads. And there's a tour group that spectates it and the guy tries to poison them. You never know why. And cops also try to help the tire, but can't catch it easily, even though there are spectators to the tire.
I thought it was pretty hilarious, but I love surreal movies like that.
You should watch a Canadian movie called Nothing. It came out in 2004. It's about two roommates who figured out they can wish things out of existence. It's kind of amazing.
Enemy, directed by Denis Villeneuve and starring Jake Gyllenhaal. So damn weird.
Oh hell yeah! The ending scene from that one nearly melted my brain.
End of Evangeline.
Evangelion, Episode 25 WTF. Evangelion, Episode 26 WTF. Iowa, finally, I understand nothing. WTF. Edit, thanks to people who recommended me on what to read watch to understand Episode 25 26 and EO. But I first watched the series like 10 years. I know and understand the series now, just not when it first aired.
I think the reason why NG seems too hard to understand is that all the sci-fi fantasy stuff isn't really the core plot, and so it doesn't really bother to explain the mechanisms of how it all works. The core plot is about people connecting with each other or failing to connect with each other, and how it's tempting to run away from the relationships and responsibilities that hurt us. But the struggle to connect and make a difference anyway is what being human is really about. And this is quite explicit throughout the series. It's constantly diving into the relationships between the characters and how broken they are, and how people withdraw from each other or run away from their responsibilities or try to replace real relationships with superficial or artificial ones. In the final episodes and end of Evangelion, we see the culmination of this flight from responsibility and relationship, as the evil conspiracy dudes use some fantasy sci-fi bollocks to completely remove all of the barriers between people. But Shinji realizes that this isn't a real life at all, and that the point of life is to try to live with each other despite all of the difficulties of real relationships, and not to escape it by becoming orange goo. That's the point. The actual mechanics of why it's orange goo and how it works aren't important, which is why they're not really explained. It makes a lot more sense if you take the relationship stuff as the core story.
Dogtooth.
I saw that in theater, and on my way back to my car, 3 different people that I didn't know started up convos with me just about how utterly bizarre that was.
The Lobster.
All Yorgos Lanthimos movies that I've seen have been like this. Super blunt dialogue, great cinematography, but they end abruptly and leave you wondering what it all means.
Hereditary with the girl's head. That came out of nowhere.
The way that the mother screams when she sees her daughter's body is messed up. The whole movie is unnerving.
I know it's been said 1,000 times, but Ari Aster is great with capturing those blood-curdling emotional screams from people losing their family members.
He also likes to hit you with a gut punch early on apparently, too. Just really shock you into this uncomfortable mindset, then not let you recover, and then just start piling beep on.
Eyes Wide Shut.
Rented it on my first official date with my now husband. Yikes.
The movie Dead Girl. 2 high school boys discover an imprisoned woman in an abandoned mental asylum who cannot die. She's something like a zombie girl tied on a bed. I am seriously not sissy by watching Wicked, but when they started to drill holes into her body to penetrate them with their little earners, I just turned off the TV and was traumatized for the rest of the evening.
How do I delete someone else's movie?
I'm traumatized just reading the last line. Who the beep comes up with such beep-up ideas, Jesus Christ.
Can you imagine proposing that idea at a meeting and it being approved?
Yes, I can. I won't be surprised if there are movies out there that make that one look tame.
Gummo, specifically the bathtub scene where the kid's eating spaghetti while his mom washes his hair.
There's bacon taped to the wall. That's what threw me off the most.
What's your spaghetti policy here?
Oh boy. The original one.
I just watched this for the first time last night, not knowing anything about it other than it was Korean, a movie about a guy seeking revenge after being imprisoned, and that I've heard from multiple places that it's really good. It's definitely a great movie, but damn, just wasn't expecting all that at all.
The entire trilogy is WTF.
It's a trilogy?
Thematically by the same writer and director. Great movies, 10 out of 10 recommend. Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance, Old Boy, Lady Vengeance.
100% Midsummer.
I was curious, so I looked up the parent's guide. Quote, at 2 points in the film, female pubic hair and period blood is consumed. This is more disturbing than sexual. We see a tapestry that shows this as well. Okay, what the beep?
The director of the film did an AMA and one of the questions was, "Are you okay?" Director replied, "No."
Are you a doctor? Maybe.
That movie called Mother with Jennifer Lawrence in it.
This movie was so stressful. It's the only movie I've ever seen that elicited such an emotional response from me that I don't think I could watch it again. I just felt completely stressed, anxious, and confused through the entire film, which frankly speaks volumes to its effectiveness. I didn't like it, simply because it distressed me, but I was impressed by it. It was goddamn effective.
I had the exact same reaction. First time I've ever felt claustrophobia in my life was during the scene when man let all the people into the house. I have to applaud the director though. Beep really bothered me.
If there's anything Darren Aronofsky excels at as a director, it's making the viewer feel extremely uncomfortable. I hope he breaks the mold one day and makes a comedy or something. He's an amazing director, but his movies don't make for great repeated viewings because they're so uncomfortable.
God, that movie made me so beeping angry. Jeez man, it's like that nightmare where you're yelling, but nobody can hear what you're saying. Personified. The biblical allegory was neat and all of that, but the beeping frustration I felt for Jennifer Lawrence's character was insane. Whoever thought a movie about Roadhouse guests could be so beeped up? Speaking of that last sentence, check out Funny Games if you haven't.
Funny Games really made me mad, and I hated it. By the time I finished it, I felt so cheated. But now every time I beep up, like if I break something important, all I can think is, where is the remote?